Well over an hour north of Utica, deep in the heart of the central western Adirondack region, there resides an ancient body of water known as Big Moose Lake. The remote lake is 3 miles long and 1 mile wide, covering over 1,200 acres of land. The region was settled in the late 19th century after the first railroads were constructed through the previously uninhabited Adirondack wilderness. Most famously, however, the lake was setting for one of the most famous murder cases in American history. It was a case that captured the public's imagination from coast to coast, eventually inspiring a great American novel and an Oscar-nominated film to follow. This is the tale of the murder of Grace Brown by Chester Gillette. Grace Brown grew up on a farm in South Ots Lake, New York. When she came of working age, she moved to Cortland, looking to get away from the farm life. There, she began working at the Gillette skirt factory, where she met one Chester Gillette, the nephew of the owner.
Chester had an unstable life. His parents were Salvation Army missionaries. They traveled all over. So his uncle gave him an opportunity to go to Oberlin College before he got to Cortland. He blew that. He ended up being kicked out. So then he went, his uncle gave him the job at the skirt factory. And Grace was a factory worker there.
The two immediately hit it off when they met, but were soon forced to date in secret due to Gillette's dignified social status and Brown's having grown up on a farm. Gillette was the most desirable bachelor in town. People could not know he was seeing a factory worker.
Grace and Chester dated. He would come over to her boarding house. They would see each other. She ended up pregnant. It was against the social morals of 1906 to be pregnant and not married. She didn't even tell her parents that she was pregnant.
This was a problem to Gillette, who valued his freedom and was rumored to be seeing multiple girls. Brown begged Gillette to marry her. In a written letter, Gillette promised to take Brown away on a romantic getaway to the Adirondacks, where Brown was hoping he would propose to her. Instead of proposing for her hand in marriage, Gillette would commit one of the most heinous crimes ever witnessed in the history of the Adirondacks.
So they take Stagecoach to the Glenmore Hotel. They check into the hotel. They sign the guest book. He signs her right name, but still uses assumed name for himself. He used Carl Graham. And they go out onto the lake. With him, they have packed a picnic lunch. He has his suitcase with him that has a change of clothes in it. He has a camera, and he has a tennis racket. And I'm thinking, why would you take a tennis racket out on the lake? So they're out rowing. They pull over to shore, they get out, they have their picnic lunch, and then they go to a quiet part of the bay. It's in South Bay, and there are no campsites around, so there aren't any witnesses. And so what they think happened, it's all circumstantial evidence, is that he hit her in the head with a tennis racket, tossed her into the lake and left her there to drown, and takes the boat to shore, gets his suitcase out, turns the boat back upside down, puts it back out on the lake, and goes off into the woods. When the people that rented the boat realize that the two people didn't come back, they go out onto the lake. They end up searching the lake. They find the boat. They find Grace Brown's hat and I think a cloak, and they eventually get her back. They find her body, but the man is missing. He ends up walking, I think it's about 7 miles. He ends up at the Arrowhead Lodge in Inlet. So the district attorney and Austin Clark, who was the undersheriff, were able to retrace Chester's steps, and they did arrest him at the Arrowhead Lodge. He says that she was despondent. She had written many love letters to him, and at one point she just says, "I want to die." Maybe she's just saying that to get him to marry her. We don't know. He says that she just jumped into the lake, but even if she had done that, why didn't he try to save her? He's found guilty. He was sentenced to Upstate prison. He was executed there in the electric chair in March of 1908, and he's buried there in the prison cemetery. And the love letters They did sound suicide. They sounded very sad. Her last letter, she's saying goodbye to the well, goodbye to the farm, and it's a very sad, sad letter. Maybe she knew she wasn't coming. I don't know. It's just, that's the unsolved mystery of it. You don't know. There were no witnesses to it.
The case was closed, the man was hanged, but the question still remains. Does Grace Brown's ghost still haunt the waters of Big Moose Lake?
I was out walking towards Big Moose Lake one night, and it was dark out, so I had my flashlight with me, but I didn't change the batteries in it, so it was starting to die out. And by the time I got down to the rocks, it had, it was pretty much dead, so I decided, well, I might as well go home now. And as soon as I turned around to head home, I was met by this thing. And I wasn't exactly sure what it was, but the moment I saw it, and it saw me, I was just sad. I had this really weird feeling of sadness wash over me, like a dreadfulness. And I'm pretty sure it was her. I know it was her.